This week on Earth, we feel the energy of sacrifice and we work on our sensitivity that allows us to feel what others need and what is going to truly serve our highest self. So the 19th shadow is codependence. And often we think of codependence in a relationship. But in this sense, I want you to think about codependence as your relationship to your understanding of the world. Codependence on this illusion that keeps us marching towards wanting and needing more stuff, wanting and needing to escape our suffering. And we agree to support one another's illusion, hence the codependence, until we die and that illusion disappears. Then we get to see all the other realms that are on Gaia, all the things that we were not sensitive enough to feel. We're here to loosen the codependence of our thoughts, of our emotions, of those things that keep us stuck, that cover the truth. And the dilemma here of this 19th shadow is heresy. And heretics are willing to ruffle feathers. They're willing to think differently, to be different. And it's a dilemma because heresy is what's required to break free, to see behind the scenes, and that's going to make people feel uncomfortable. Spiritual teachings even can lead to codependence. Everything has to be seen as a representation of the truth, and as a representation, it is not the real truth. And so we lean on these systems like the Gene Keys, like Christianity, like Buddhism, because it makes us feel like we can put our faith, our trust in something outside of ourselves because we don't have the capacity to do it. Independence is what's needed, though, to break codependence. Back in the olden days, when we were still on the prairie, we were dependent on nature. And so we created gods. All religions are born out of this 19th shadow. And that led to codependence because we put our trust in this outside authority, something that seems bigger than us, that knows better than us. But anytime we think of God outside of us, that is what leads to suffering. We suffer because we don't think we have the frequency to do these things. We hope and we wait, and that is what turns us into a victim. The programming partner here is the 33rd shadow of forgetting. We forget our power and we put it outside of us. That is the great forgetting. You have the powers of a God in you. As we lean more on science and we figure out the workings of the world, our dependence on God decreases. No longer are we at the fate of God's lightning. We understand that that's what that is, right? It's electricity in the sky. And as that dependence on God goes down, it allows us to come into our independence. And what you'll see when we get to the city is that there's a re-merging with God. This mutation away from codependence pits religion against science. But what we'll see is they are intimately connected. As we approach our independence, we will see that it is really interdependence. And that brings us to the 19th gift, which is sensitivity. Sensitivity is simply being attuned to the needs of others. And the only way to do that is to become independent first. Otherwise, how can you know what's yours and what's theirs? Sensitivity is a touch with people and animals. And it's a physical touch. A lot of healers have this 19th gift of sensitivity. It allows us to pick up on our environment and on the emotions of other people in that environment and helps us know how to respond and what to do. Many artists have this 19th because they see these hidden energy fields, and their calling is to help others see those fields too. It reveals a hidden world of color, of pressure, of frequency that until we develop our higher capacities, we are totally blind to. Emotional independence comes when we recognize that love is infinite, because until then we try and hoard, we try and keep everything inside of us. But once we see that love is infinite and it will continue to come, we can trust, we can know, we can develop ourselves and not worry about getting it from another. Some people have heard voices from fairies or angels, and that is through this 19th gift. Once we hit a high enough frequency, we're able to notice or feel some of these more subtle energy signatures. Also though, or at the same time, we still can pick those up at the shadow frequency. We're just not aware of what we're hearing. And that's where we get into the demonic realms, the things that continue to pull us back into our same cycles and stop us from growing. The shaman is of the 19th gift. It's the whisperer, somebody who can speak to the animals, who can speak to the energies. It's where magic meets the material. It's not oversensitivity. A lot of times we think of people who are sensitive as needing to shut down or not being able to be in a certain environment. It is not that. In fact, it's the opposite of that. Sensitivity is strength. Sensitivity knows how to heal itself because it knows what it needs. We've developed the ability to listen inwardly. And because of that, it is actually better able to deal with groups of people, better able to understand or be in circumstances that might normally feel overwhelming. Sensitivity is not being a channel. It's leaning into fellow humans who are waiting there to feel your love, to feel your guidance. The I Ching called this the approach. And that's what this gift is all about. How to approach someone, how to approach the world, how to approach animals. Sensitivity knows how to start. When you are trying to establish a relationship with a wild animal, it's through the gift of sensitivity that we understand we must just wait with our hands out. And when that animal is ready, it will come to us. It's all in how we start. That trust in the beginning is what leads to the interdependence, the closeness of a relationship. Sensitivity learns through insensitivity. So when that shows up in your life, just pay attention to it, because you'll feel that it pulls you out of yourself. You'll feel that it disconnects you from all of this other information that's around us. And that brings us to the 19th city, which is sacrifice. And what sacrifice is not is self-sacrifice. Damaging yourself deliberately to serve someone else is doomed to fail. What we're talking about here is sacrificing our lower impulses to follow a higher impulse. We are sacrificing our negativity so that we can follow and be on the path of God. Eventually, though, we even need to sacrifice the good, because we need to sacrifice polarity, duality, and understand that there is only one. Sacrifice speaking is misunderstood, and that all the cities through speaking are misunderstood. And that's why one of the biggest things that the 19th city accomplishes is sacrificing speaking, so that it is not misunderstood. You must sacrifice who you were, that need to be recognized, that need to be known and to be seen, so that you can become something new. Virtue comes through when you are willing to be unseen in what you do. Sacrifice discovers sanctity through justice, and that is the ring of Gaia, the 19th, the 60th, and the 61st. Sacrifice, the 19th city, discovers sanctity, the 61st city, through justice. And what I mean by that is when we sacrifice ourselves, we are pulled into the sanctity, pulled into the silence of God. And the way that we get there is through justice, because there is a divine balance. And that divine justice recognizes your sacrifice and unveils that justice. Collective transition is happening right now as we move to a new epoch that requires sacrifice. Codependence is the seed for this transition, because in codependence, we sacrifice part of our true self, part of our higher self to the other. But again, that's not true sacrifice. Instead, we sacrifice ourselves to divinity. And in that, a new original thing is formed. Evolution is sacrifice. As complexity increases on Gaia, as we move from a single-celled organism to a plant, to an animal, to a human, each time that happens, the step above literally feeds on the creature that was below. And that is what is required of humanity right now. Collective sacrifice is where we are, so that we can usher in this holy child, this new way of being that will come through the synarchy when the time is right.